I hope everyone can hear me. Good. My name is Libby, and when our teacher Fred is not here to give a Dharma talk, he asks one of his students to share their understanding of the Dharma and their experience. So that's what I'm here to do today. I've been asked to talk about the second noble truth. And it's important to put that within the context of the Four Noble Truths. I know we talked a little bit about that previously. You'll remember that many people believe this was the first teaching that the Buddha ever gave. That after his great enlightenment, when he came to understand human suffering, he sat for a long time, and then, being convinced that someone might benefit from his teaching, he went to Deer Park and he sought out his 5 companions, the ascetics that he had practiced with for a long time. He thought, well, if anybody's going to listen, maybe they will. And, they had written him off, but when they saw him approach, they could see that he had been transformed. They could see there was something special going on. So they were interested to hear what he had to say. And so after introducing the middle way, he explained the Four Noble Truths to them. And it was said that one of his companions right then and there understood and was awakened. So the Buddha really, he was motivated by the desire to understand suffering. And in his enlightenment, he came to a realization. And he saw in the First Noble Truth, the realization was that suffering is interwoven into the human experience of birth, aging, sickness, death, gain and loss, grief, all of these things that we associate as sorrow, as suffering. And the Buddha saw the truth of suffering, that was all there, that the human life had all that potential in it. And like a physician then, he wanted to also explain where did the suffering come from. So if you think if you're sick and you're in a lot of pain, and you go to the doctor and you say, "Doctor, I've got pain. I've got pain. My shoulder, ow." And so the doctor examines you, and if the doctor says, "Oh, you have pain in your shoulder," then you really haven't gained any information because you already knew that. We already know we're suffering. But what's the cause of it? So you want the doctor to diagnose the cause of your pain. And that's what the second noble truth represents. In the second noble truth, the Buddha says that the origin or the cause of suffering in Sanskrit is tanha. And a good translation for tanha is thirst. Everyone knows what thirst is. I'd just like you to take a moment and just do a little thought experiment where you close your eyes and maybe think about you're on this trip away from home, you're going a lot of places, you've left your lodging early in the morning, you're going here, you're going there, and there's just no water. Nobody brought water, and you're getting thirsty. Your mouth is dry. You don't really know where you're going to get water. It just seems difficult. Maybe you've been backpacking before. You have to carry your own water and sanitize it. And sometimes you run out. You can get a headache, your eyes start to burn, your throat gets scratchy, your lips start to get chapped, your mouth is dry. What does that feel like? What does thirst feel like? So you can open your eyes if you're ready. I'd like to hear if was anyone able to enter that thought experiment and imagine being thirsty? Everybody was able to do that? So if you're able to do that, what was the feeling of being thirsty? Talked about a mouth being dry, right? But how'd that make you feel? Urgent. Made you feel urgent. Made you feel focused, preoccupied. Made you anxious. So not any pleasant feelings. I'm hearing very unpleasant feelings associated with thirst. And you know, thirst is a normal feeling for human beings because we need water. We need a lot of water. Hunger too is normal, and it's signals that our body sends to us that we have a need to meet, an imperative. You must drink, you must eat. And so that's thirst, but sometimes those can turn to craving. Hunger can transform into craving. Thirst can transform into craving, and so can many other things. For example, a lot of people when they wake up in the morning are thirsty, but it's not a glass of water that they want, it's a cup of coffee. They have a thirst just for coffee, and they get focused. I know because I'm a coffee drinker. We used to talk about pregnant women having cravings in pregnancy. And that happened to me. I became hungry, but hungry for almonds. So, you know, I'm not to say that that's a bad thing or a good thing, and maybe it's biological, maybe it's not, but we know that normal feelings of hunger and thirst can become cravings of wanting, and it's not just hunger and thirst, but we can develop those feelings of urgency, those feelings of needing for a lot of things, including, you know, certain kinds of food or excesses of food, alcohol, coffee. We might crave shopping, or we might crave novelty. We might be craving the approval of people. Or we might be craving their recognition that we're smart or good looking or somehow special. And so when the Buddha was talking about tanha, he was talking about this constant state we have of wanting, craving, being motivated toward wanting, and not just wanting, also the other side, which is, get this away from me. If I have to listen to that guy talking on his phone anymore, I'm just gonna have to get up and go to a different train car. They even have silent, quiet train cars for people who don't want to hear other people talking on the telephone. It's true. So we have things we want, things we don't want, things we feel like we have to have, things we feel like we can't possibly endure or tolerate or put up with. And those are those feelings that are the origin of suffering, according to the Buddha. Those things that we grasp at, the things we push away, and even the things that we are dull and don't even notice, don't even care about, could care less. I don't care. I don't care. As long as you don't give me anchovies, I'll eat anything, etc. So the Buddha diagnosed that cravings are the cause of suffering. And it was from there that he was able to then go on and see that there was a way, that there was that the thirst came from a misperception within us about who we were and what our thoughts mean, what our feelings, where they come from, what they mean. And so it was from here that he then laid out the Noble Eightfold Path as a way to transcend the cravings that are unnecessary, the ones that cause unnecessary suffering. You could say that he encouraged us to look closely at our motivations, at the things that we're drawn toward, the things that we're repelled away from, and to recognize that almost none of those are real physical needs, real emotional needs that if they don't get met, I'm going to die. No, it's just that it makes me more comfortable. I feel better. I love ice cream. I feel good if I have chocolate ice cream. That first cup of coffee tastes so good. So we embark on a path of trying to look closely at these motivations, to understand the difference between our wants and needs, and by looking closely, realizing sometimes the ability to pacify without doing things that are harmful to ourselves or to others. And so that's the second noble truth. The truth of the origin of suffering.